Hello, my friends, and welcome to episode number 2 of live stream. Um, Welcome to JC Bass Fishing Channel. Today we have a very interesting and different live stream. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk to you about the results of my tournament during the BFL, the Bulldog division, up in Lake Lanier, and it was a great tournament. It turned out to be a pretty good tournament for us. I was fishing as a co-angler, and it was different. It was different because we had different situations when it comes to the weather and water situations. But I will be back to show you and talk to you about the results. Don't go anywhere. Stay. All right, my friends. So let's go ahead and start from boat at the ramp. I met my boater, and we went ahead and talked a little bit about what we were going to do that day, and what happened. We were supposed to stay in staying water, so I prepared all my stuff for staying water, and I was ready. I had 3 rods that I have for. As a total, I took 6 rods. I took 3 rods for clean water and 3 rods for staying water, just to make sure that I was prepared to for both scenarios if something was to happen. So we started the day close to takeoff. We went into a creek, and the water was stained. It was not very dirty, but it was stained. And we started fishing with moving lures. So I was using a crankbait uh, for shallow water, and I was casting that crankbait. I mean, anywhere I saw a stump, a lay down. If I felt rocks when I was bringing it back, I make sure that I cast it there again and again until the boat was gone. And you know that when you're fishing from the back of the boat, you're gonna end up casting to the back, or you're gonna end up casting to the middle. So depending on the boater that you have, and if he lets you, cast a little bit to the side of the front on water that he already passed, when he's casting all the way to the front, you can ask, and if he tells you it's fine, then you can go ahead and cast somewhere in there. So we kept on doing that for a little bit. We ran into a few docks. We tried to catch some fish in the docks, but the bite was dead, and the temperature in the morning was cold. It was probably around 39, 40 degrees in the morning. Now the temperature was supposed to go up as the day was progressing to about 60, and we were supposed to have clear skies with sunny sky. So I was kind of like looking forward for that, because I knew once the sun come up, the fish move up to rock areas so they can warm up against the rocks and stuff like that. So we kept on fishing, and we ended up on a secondary point. And when we got to the secondary point, my boater casted there, and he caught a fish immediately. So he had 1 fish in the boat. Um, and I decided to wait until he finished on that area, so I can start. Since I was behind him, I didn't want to do the same thing he was doing. I went ahead and grabbed my shaky head, and I started flipping my shaky head worm around the rocks, and all the way to about 6 feet I mean 6 inches of water, and then dragging it back slowly as he was moving. And we passed by a laydown, and he flipped. I believe he was flipping a a crawdad, I believe, into that laydown. He flipped like 4 or 5 times in there, and he didn't get no bite. So he kept on going, and I waited until that the same laydown that he was flipping. I waited until he passed, and then I started flipping my shaky head in there. And And my third try, he was already moving away. So I went ahead and made a long flip to the side of the tree all the way to the back, almost in like 6 inches of water. And as soon as the shaky head hit the water and I dragged it, we both had one fish. But that fish right there was my first bite. So we kept on going. We flip and we casted crankbaits and shaky heads and chatterbaits to around some docks that we ran into. We didn't get no bites. So we moved from that creek and we went somewhere else, and we went in the back of another creek, and we were looking for the fish from the back towards the beginning of the creek, trying to find them either if they were in the back or if they were in the middle of the creek or at the beginning of the creek. So we went all the way to the back, and we found two docks that were at 15 feet of water. So right there, there were pretty good docks with plenty of depth for us to be able to catch something. We flipped jig in there. He I believe he was casting a crankbait around the docks. Also, I was casting my shaky head in there after I casted my jig in there a few times. I didn't get no bites. I grabbed my shaky head, cast it in there a couple times. I didn't get no bites. So I began to wonder if the fish were actually that far in the back of the creek. So we moved from there and we went into the middle of the creek, and I believe he was fishing a ditch with a swing bait. I didn't have a swing bait tied on, so I grabbed my jig and I started casting my jig in the middle of the creek and dragging it very slow. And I got a bite behind the boat, but the fish hit it, but he didn't take it. So to me that means that I was moving it too fast. So I went ahead and slowed down some more to see if I can get the fish to follow it and hit it again, but he never did. So we stayed there and we moved all the way from the back of the creek on the other side, and we were fishing all the docks that we found and between the docks and any lay downs that we saw, and we were not successful. So it was time to move again. We're both is around it was around already 11 o'clock. I think it was 11 o'clock already, and we had no bites. So we decided to move, and we went south to Clearwater, and not south, but we went around Mid Lake, and we went into a creek, and we started fishing secondary points from the beginning of the creek all the way to the back, looking for the fish. The first one we stopped, we didn't get no bites. It was kind of sandy in the bottom. It was very soft and muggy. So I imagine because of that, the fish were not there. But then when we stop in the secondary point, that point has some rock on it. You can feel the rock when you're dragging your jig or where you were dragging your shaky head in the bottom. So at that time, he felt that was a pretty good secondary point to stay. I felt the same way because I can feel rock in the bottom, and the sun was already the sun was completely up there, and it was hitting the water pretty good. So I knew it was not going to take too long before we get a bite. Plus, that secondary point has deep water very close. So we put the boat at about 20 feet of water, and we were casting all the way to about a foot of water, and then dragging the shaky heads and the jig through all those rocks and hopping it over the rocks. And after about 30 minutes in that place, uh, anybody else would have just taken off and go somewhere else, but we stayed there because we knew that we were close to deep water. There was rock there, and we knew the fish were going to move up. And sure it was, not even after 30 minutes, I got the first bite on the shaky head, and I hooked them up pretty good, and it was a very good fish. It was about a 3-pounder, 3 1/4. and spotted bass. I mean, that spotted bass was pulling like he was full of energy. And I was able to get it in the boat. And then after that, my boater got a bite. So now we're 2-2. I kept on casting to the left side of the point. He was casting to the right side of the point since we had the boat sideways. And he kept on catching fish, and I kept on catching fish. So I was able to catch my limit on that point, and he was able to catch 4 fish. But he broke off the 5th fish a couple times. He broke off the line, and he was not able to catch his last fish. After that, he decided to move to another point, looking for that 5th fish. We went back up north, closer to a takeoff area because it was getting closer to our time to return. And he stopped in another point, and on that point he had a couple bites, but the fish was not taking the lure. So he changed to a crankbait, and while he was casting the crankbait, I think he got hung over on a stump or a rock or something, and he lost the crankbait. He grabbed his shaky head again. He casted a shaky head in there, and he got another bite. And right there, I was like, okay, he's gonna get his 5th fish, and his line broke off again. He took 12 ounces and finished 11th. And I believe he weighted 11 pounds or 10 pounds something. And I don't know where he finished at, because after that I took off, and I was able to get a check and come back home to the family, since I was gone for a few days. But that was what happened on Lake Lanier. My setups, I had a brown and black jig, half ounce with chunk trailer, and I painted the ends of the trailer with orange, uh, to make sure that it looked more like the type of crawfish they have in Lake Lanier. Also, I was casting a shaky head, green pumpkin, 6-inch worm, and from Striking. It was That's the one that was catching my fish. What I did, I stained the tip of it with chartreuse to have a little contrast, and it was working. It was working great, because they were knocking the heck out of it, and when they hit it. Uh, I had a chatterbait, a white chatterbait. I was also had a drop shot that I used a couple times, but that was for my clean water. For my other one, for my clean water, was basically the shaky head green pumpkin. I used that one for dirty water and clear water. And my last one was a jerk bait. I had a jerk bait for clear water, because in clear water they like to suspend, and they like to see what they're going to hit, and especially up in Lake Lanier. That's how they hit it when they stay in top of the trees suspending. You get that jerk bait down to them, and if you got the right color, they're not going to mess around. They're going to slam it. They're going to hit it hard. But I use it. I used it a few times, but we were not that deep in order for me to use it all the time. So um, I was not able to use it as I wanted to use it. But logically, the way I ended up, I caught 12 pounds, 12 ounces. That was a very good tournament for me. First tournament for the BFL Bulldog League. So it was a good start, and I'm hoping that that continues. So the next tournament is going to be in Lake Oconee. I believe is the 12th of March. So it's going to be a couple weeks. It's going to be the next tournament. And then, as you know, Lake Oconee, different situation, different scenario, not the same as Lake Lanier. So we gotta set up and get ready for that one. So hopefully you guys were able to get a little bit out of this. This is my second live stream. Um, and it's my way to let you guys know what I did and how everything ended up, the good news, the bad news, and the crazy stories that happen while you're fishing tournaments. So I hope that you guys enjoy this video. I hope to see you guys come back to my channel. Please don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell right there in the bottom. And see you guys later on. Tight lines.